and them trying to push, hey, cigarettes will make you a man. And that's where my name came from. My father.
Are we on?
We're on.
Like on?
On.
Wow. That's the intro. No, welcome back. I haven't been on camera in a year and a half. I haven't seen Britt in a year and a half, and we see each other every day. That's crazy. We really should take a moment to... Good to see you, Britt. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
But we had to come back, right? Because there was a podcast we had to do with someone important, someone special to this town. But we're not going to go there yet. I know you saw the title. You know who it is. But, oh, hello. This is we're in a different studio. It's not as quiet here. But also, yeah, right. It's great. We got all the traction. We got all the people watching. And but we're here, and we're going to do this because I've got this new studio for a year. I start my rent in December. They gave me 2 weeks free because they're very gracious. Right. I just still had to put the deposit down. So we've got a year here, and during this year, I'm bringing people in. It's still OTR. It's still off the rails. We're going to have some fun. But this year is a decision year. We're going to decide whether we're moving to Nashville or if we're staying in Guernsey County. I'm leaning towards Nashville, and I'm sure my first guest isn't going to help me stay in Guernsey County. But with further ado, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Cowboy Killer.
What's going on, Bubba?
Mr. Paul. What a great time to get a call from your girlfriend. Absolutely
you better
perfect
pick that
time.
up or you're going to get me in trouble.
That's all right. She knows I'm doing a podcast. We're good. But welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, you
I've
get
been
to
off
be
the rails for a long time.
Season 2. You're episode 1 of season 2.
I'm honored. First person in your studio, man. It's fire.
Literally. I mean, you're the second person to walk in here since I got it. So
that's fire, man.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be here, man.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Grew up in the 740 G County, Kim Bolton, Birmingham line. I started rapping when I was 14, and I've been rapping ever since. I'm 27 now. Just got off the road with Yellow Wolf, Caskey, and just going off of that buzz and keeping the ball rolling, man. I just dropped an album yesterday, actually, called Devotion. A little bit off center of what I'm used to doing as of recently, which is, the banjos and the trap beats, but bringing the soul and the roots back to it because I started with Motown and soul beats. So Devotion's out now, and I'm just going off of the momentum from tour. So it's been a crazy run, man. Just got off the road and feeling good.
And I got to witness the show in Marietta. It was great. I mean, what's it like? I know Marietta's that's probably it is. It's the closest show that you played to
that
Cambridge.
That felt like hometown show.
Yeah.
I was telling everybody like I'm doing a hometown show. It's still 740, 40 minutes from my cabin, so it's hometown to us.
Yeah.
It meant a lot.
For me, I mean, I'm sure a lot of the shows were that capacity, if not more, maybe around it. But you go out there and you're like, man, like this kid's from Guernsey County, from this area, and to be on stage before those guys,
it's crazy. It's a miracle.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest crowd I've filmed with. I've filmed with a lot of people, and I got there. I'm like, man, like this is pretty cool.
That meant a lot that you were there because you're a local guy. You've obviously done the sports and everything around here in the area. But to capture that moment and see me with my mother, the boss hen, with my day ones there, a sold out crowd in the 740 to see me play, that was a game changer. And as a rapper, of course, you want support from your hometown, so that meant a lot to me.
Oh yeah,
for you to capture that was big.
It was crazy. I mean, that's what the future's looking like, right? And that's what's awesome.
Right.
And going back, obviously from there, I mean, we can't start there. Like that's not. You didn't start in Marietta on stage in front of people, right?
No, I did not. I started in Zanesville at the park for 5 people in lawn chairs who were like, "Who is this farm boy that's rapping?" And now it's turned into sold out shows, touring around, putting out consistent bodies of work, and really just trying to reach my tribe. I'm just trying to find my tribe right now. I don't want fame or this sense of importance or attention. I just want to actually create from a place that's healing and heals other people. And it's probably the greatest career choice for me. I mean, I was working in factories. I worked at Quanex in town.
Okay.
I laid concrete. I shoveled horse crap for years, and now I get to make music and have a community around me of creators and like-minded people. So it's a blessing. I'm in Nashville, And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to convince Caleb to move to Nashville. So
I figure he would be pro Nashville.
But we always come back. We always come back home. It's 740 love. I put on the 740 from the beginning, from day one. There's no one who can dispute that. So I've always got hometown love. But, you know, I moved to New Mexico and then got my buzz and went to Nashville, and that was really where it started to pop off. So, you know, shout out to all my Nashville people, the Berkey House, my whole community, man. That's definitely what took me over the top.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot about the Berkey House.
Yeah.
I followed him recently on Instagram, and it looks like, I mean, you could have Thanksgiving every week probably if you really wanted to.
We had a Friendsgiving. We had 70 people show up to that, and then 2 days later we had the Berkey House event. So we do once a month a local show in Nashville. That's all donation based, so people don't have to pay a dime to come. We have 4 local acts, and we give food, pie, gifts. We're sponsored by Liquid Death. Wait, hold on. Do the plug real quick.
There it is.
Where's the camera at?
Oh, you're over here.
Right here.
Yep.
Liquid Death. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's a great sponsorship too.
Yeah, we're blowing up, man. And I think to have 200 people at your house is usually quite overwhelming. It is, but it's really good vibes.
That's what you want, though. I
mean, never had drama at my house. Everyone who comes through is a creator, or if they're not, they're there to just experience it and be a part of it, just to witness it.
That's what I've noticed too about it. It seems like there's a lot of different outlets of like art and creativity. I mean, you got photographers setting up stuff. You've got video, photo.
We have a whole wall where people just paint, and it's you know, it's like we have frames set up and people paint. We have scores as well, so you basically get a score and it'll say like, hey, go up to Cowboy and shoot him with your hand. You know what I mean? Give him the handgun. You know what I mean? All kinds of tasks that keep people busy, and it keeps the play an interesting experience. You know, it keeps it light. So it's not just a party; it's more of an experience.
Yeah, I mean that seems like a great time. And I guess before you got to Nashville, you were in Nevada, right?
New Mexico,
over there. You're in the desert, man. Somewhere.
Yeah, right? Out there somewhere. Far from here, Bubba.
Right. So how did you get out? How'd you end up out there?
Dude, I lost my house during COVID. I ran out of money. I broke up with my girlfriend and was like, I have nothing left here for me. I spent 5 years in Orlando grinding, recorded a lot of artists like Ski Mask the Slump God, a lot of the very rare all-stars, a lot of rappers and singers, and then I just was capped out. And I reached my ceiling, so I was like, all right, it's time for me to take the Cowboy Killer and put it in the Wild West so I could shoot more videos, meet people that understand that sound of the Southwest and Americana. And that's exactly what happened. I just ran into those people and formed a band, and now I'm sitting in Nashville with most of those guys who moved with me from New Mexico to Nashville.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the whole community's there. I mean, we moved with like 10 people. It might as well have been 100 because there's so many people at my house all the time. And they find themselves there because of our connection to New Mexico. You know, I meet people from Albuquerque or Santa Fe, which became my second home. New Mexico is home to me. You know, I go back to New Mexico, I get love there just like I would here, if not more. So, you know, it's really, really awesome to be able to go back out there and still have roots there. I only spent 2 years there, but it changed my life, bro. Like, Albuquerque took me in as one of their own and claimed me as their own, which is cool being a 740 boy because you know, there's only 100 people in Birmingham.
Right.
But, you know, there's, you know, a city that was willing to get behind me and what I was doing just because it was different and appealing at the time.
Yeah, and now you said something in there. It was, you reached your cap.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that was in here around this area?
Well, I mean, I didn't even find creatives until I moved to Florida, really.
Yeah.
I had worked with some guys here. I always support the local talent here. I'm not that guy that's like the hater on the local rapper, unless you're really trash. Keep sucking. I don't want to be that guy. I like to support artists and expression, and you know. But I definitely didn't have the opportunity to shine or get out there where I wanted to if I had just stayed here and worked in the factory.
And I think a lot of people take that the wrong way too. It's like, you know, if they've been here their whole life, they're like, oh well.
I love it here.
Right.
I love this town, and I'm obviously always coming back. You know, people see me all the time.
You're around a lot. You really are.
I pop up at Larry Durbin's last night. I'm singing Lucky Jeans on stage, getting faded. You know, people will see me around town, and I don't shy away. I make it a thing. Like I'm here, I'm coming back.
Yeah, and that's like exactly where I'm at. Right. I feel like I've done what I wanted to do here. Yeah. I've done the sports. I've done weddings. I've done some music stuff, but
I mean, you're vital in this town. You've done so much for this place, and you know, creatives like us, you know, in media, it's important that you know we come back and show love. If we go to do bigger things. You know what I
Right.
mean? But nothing's really more important to me than love from here, because I feel like if I have love from here, then I'm doing the right thing and I'm representing my people the right way.
Yeah. And I know with Ryan Robinette,
Yeah, great dude.
yeah, absolutely. During COVID is kind of when we got a little closer. Like, right, we talked some here and there before that, but that's when it kind of was like nothing to do. Let's do some stuff. That's what he kind of realized too, was he was doing a lot in Nashville, a lot of different stuff. He had some big stuff early on, and then he kind of started using me around here as kind of like a local connection.
Right.
And it ended up, I mean, we talked about it a lot. We were like, man, like, if you can, it's great to have a big community and support, but it feels better when your local community actually wants to support you.
No, it feels great. Like the fact that I'm 10 minutes in to being at the VFW and everyone's like, get on stage right now. This is my favorite Cowboy Killer song. That's dope. You know, and I don't think most people will ever experience that. I think most of my life I got love outside of this place.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, once I got off the tour with Wolf and, or I dropped Long Live Cowboy, that's when it really started to pour in. People from here were like, hey, you're trending back home. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. But
it's because people see bigger names and then they're like, oh, then they want to hop on.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. And
that's part of it.
Yeah, and it wasn't like it's funny because people think I'm signed. I'm still independent. It's still Good for Life Productions, which was started in the 740 in my garage. It's still the same people that are with me, day ones. My brother Isaiah, he's with me. Trenton's with me. Twig's with me. They're all here. All the day ones are here.
I'm with you.
Brittany's here. Everyone's still here. You know what I mean? And that's what's most important to me, is that I still have my core with me to stay grounded, and I come back home to show love. I am an accessible person. People act so inaccessible.
I message you, you answer.
Yeah, I'm like, holler at me, man, and come to the house. We'll take care of you. And I got that hospitality from here. Like, being a Midwest boy, that's what it is. Like, we show hospitality, we show love to people, show respect until it ain't given, So I always have respect for hometown, and the hometown love is real right now. So I appreciate it a lot.
You can
Anyone
feel it
supporting.
around town. You can feel it. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And we're right downtown. I can hear the courthouse lights. The police station's right beside us. So
there's a parade going on, and I saw
anything.
2 Spartans on horses. So, if that doesn't describe my hometown well, I don't know what does.
Yeah, we picked the worst day to restart, like, doing this. I was like, oh, yeah, you just park out front. And then at, like, 4, I was like, oh, yeah, that parade's tonight.
Cowboys coming? All right, let's cause total chaos outside and have everybody just watching. So shout out to everybody outside.
It was. But Britt, she made it here in one piece.
Barely.
You didn't take the shot of bourbon that me and Caleb did,
That's
did you?
true.
You didn't take the shot?
It's strong.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
it's great.
Some rum and alcohol. Sheesh.
But and you've been mentioning names. Kasky and Yellow Wolf. How did that happen? Like, how did that start?
Dude, that's too crazy. So when I was 15 years old, I actually moved away from G County, and I went to Jerome High School in Columbus, and I ended up meeting a guy named Danny Asadi. We started creating music. He's the guy responsible for inventing Persian trap music. And so I started to follow him and start making beats with him. My run was cut short with him because I just had a lot of issues going on at home, and I ended up getting into a rehab program when I was 17. And I ended up meeting a guy there who later moved to Nashville. And so by the time I got to Nashville, he's like, hey, let's kick it. And I started hanging with him. His name's Warren. Shout out to Warren. And he told me, he said, I know Yellow Wolf's manager. I said, well, if we're real friends, then you'll show my album to him. He said, well, I'm going on a trip with him to Kentucky. His name's Edward Crow, and he's my manager this day. Shout out to Zilla. And he played my album front to back. Track 1 all the way to the finish, on the way to Kentucky for them to go do mushrooms and do a camping trip. And this guy was like, I gotta get to know this guy. I gotta have a meeting with him. And I got a call from him, and he said, come to the office. I want to hear your stuff. I want to sit down with you. And I played him the unreleased stuff, and right there on the spot, he was like, we want to sign you. I want to be your manager. And at that point, I'd never had a manager. I was manager, engineer, producer, writer, performer. I was everything, booking agent. I did it all myself. And from that point, it took me about 6 months to sign with him because I was like, I need to know who you are. And it just turned out that, he understood my vision and what I was trying to do with music, which was no rules, genre bending, outlaw. There's no genre or sound that I can't touch. And he was behind me 100%, and he understood that. And before he even signed me, he called me. He said, "Hey, I just played Wolf this song called Guilty on Long Live Cowboy, and he wants you to come to the studio right now." I said, "Well, I was moving furniture. I was working for a moving company." I was like, "Yeah, sure, I could probably do that," acting like it wasn't a big deal. I was sweating bullets. I was like, I'm about to go toe-to-toe with the Giants. And I pull up to the studio, and he was in there. He turned around, dapped me up, started asking me about all these albums and these projects I was working on. And that night right there, I just laid down a verse. It took me like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote it, boom, laid it down. And he was like, "Yep, you're him. You're him, McGraw." So
right.
the rest is history. And then, from there, we just built a relationship. I'm still not signed, still independent, but Wolf is my brother, and he's always looked out for me like a brother. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like a drunken older brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And he just looks out for me, man. And then I got the call. He was like, "Do you want to come open for me in Matthews, North Carolina?" And so I did. I opened up at a Harley Davidson shop there for 1,000 people. And that was the first time that I'd really played for a crowd that magnitude, that was there for the sound that I was presenting, rather than just playing one song a night on a rap show with Kalen. Kalen Ellis, my brother.
Going into that,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anybody's really prepared for that, like to walk onto a stage with 1,000 people in front of you.
Yeah.
What was going through your head, like when you're backstage or you're getting ready to go up? How do you get mentally ready to go up there?
Well, I would say I was ready for it. I mean, I'd worked my whole life to be in a moment like that. If you rap for 10 years, you write songs for 10 years, you kind of dream of that feeling of people responding to the music like that. I'd never felt that feeling for me. I had opened up for people, and it was cool, but they weren't there for me. There were people that were genuinely like, even if I never heard you before, I'm a fan for life, and they were loud and responded to it. It was a feeling that I can't forget, man. But I knew that I was prepared for the moment, no matter how much butterflies or nerves. I used to. I still have anxiety, but I am a person who's now equating the nerves to excitement, rather than, I'm not ready. This is so. Some people kind of psych themselves out, like, "Oh my God, I'm nervous. I'm not ready." It's like, no, you're nervous. You're excited. You know what I mean? So if you channel it that way, then it's a little bit different. But I worked my whole life for it, man. I was ready. As soon as I was called, I was ready for the challenge. Yeah,
that's not bad. And we can check the time on this one, but we can cut this if you want to. But when the first time we ever communicated, do you make guns, or did you? I should like.
I'm around a lot of people who make guns.
Okay,
yes.
Because I just remember like you messaged me or you DM me on Instagram and you're like, "Hey man, I'm gonna be back in town. You can come out. Me and my buddy, like, we've got some guns. We're gonna start shooting them." I'm like, I've never talked to you in my life.
I'm like, "Come on out, buddy."
I don't think that never happened, because I think that was right at the beginning of COVID.
Right.
So I think everything started crashing. And I was like, "Sure," but at the same time, like, I don't know.
You're like, I don't know this guy. And he wants to show me his guns.
Yeah. I'm like, I got guns, but I don't know. But then the first time we really got to do something was with How About a Drink, right? I think we've probably seen each other in DTA a few times by that point. But
For sure.
Outside of that was fun. That was a fun time.
That was a big moment, actually, too, to be able to film a music video in my hometown, and Ryan pulled up.
Break some really trucks that weren't ours.
For sure. Yeah, break some trucks that weren't ours.
Those girls were driving those things, just beating them into the ground.
They were awesome. They were awesome. Yeah, I appreciate those ladies for letting me use their farm. And I was definitely in a place where I was in the middle of dropping a hip-hop album and also writing a lot of country music. So How About a Drink is like a farm punk song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of that middle ground. And that was really cool to be able to come back here and do it with you, because that was for my hometown. It felt like the right time to be able to do that. And that was something that was always my dream, to be able to shoot music videos in town, because there was nobody that could really do it except for you.
Well, I barely did it.
But we did.
I had my own issues at that point in my life.
But we did. It came out.
Yeah.
It was fire, and we played that song every night on tour. That was the last song.
And we heard it, and I got to. That was cool. You get to film a song you worked on. Yeah. And that's something too that I kind of noticed was with some of those songs you were singing up there. And this is, you might remember. I'm not an artist like that, so I wouldn't know if that's like, oh, that's something. But was there a time where you were in front of these crowds and there was a moment where you started hearing people singing along with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I was in Sturgis, South Dakota, at the Sturgis Biker Rally, the biggest biker rally in the world, 6,000 people. And I'm up there on stage, and it's in between songs, so I'm just talking shit, talking to everybody. And some lady in the front row yells, "Play Lucky Jeans." And I'm going, I am 2,500 miles from home, and somebody's telling me to play a song that they know. I'm in that place of like, wow, I can't believe that you guys know this music, because we're from G County. There's not a lot of people. Even if you had the whole town support, it would still be kind of hard to get yourself to a level of people know you in South Dakota, or people know you across the globe. And now that I'm in that position where people know my music in Italy, in France, in Africa, in Germany. So you go to South Dakota and somebody knows your song, that's an amazing feeling, bro, because as an artist, that's all you want. You just want people to hear it, enjoy it, and if they want you to play the song, you want to go out there on the road and play it for them.
Yeah, and that's like one of those big moments, right, where it's
dude.
It hits you and you're like, man, like...
Oh, yeah. I'm
my
mom made it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that's kind of where I was going to roll into with that, is like, for me, 2021 and 2022-ish, I kind of closed out 2022. I had such a high from 2020, not like, oh, COVID, I love COVID. That sounds awful.
COVID
all these
sucked.
people are dying. I loved it. No, but that was honestly, for sports, for me, we live streamed 200 games in under 130 days.
Crazy.
And we went from doing 0, it's just crazy. And so for me, that was kind of like a big thing.
Kind of forced you to elevate, for sure.
It did.
And get creative.
But at the same time, where I found myself was, I felt above it, right? Like I felt like I was the fucking, like the man, like,
right.
And that's where I want to go with this question is, how do you feel good? Like, you're like, man, like I'm doing it, like I'm making it, and you are, but at the same time be like, okay, hold on, like I'm not better than anybody.
Oh man, it's easy for me, bro. I always said growing up, nobody is below me and everyone's bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I played point guard, I played running back. I'm not a big dude out there, so I always had that mentality of like, everyone's bigger than me. They can take you down. You've got to work hard, and you've got to be a slippery guy, man. You got to be able to get out of a jam or get out of a situation and hustle your way out. So I was never shy to the idea that if I don't make it, then this is a bust. This was my plan A. So, I don't take it like it's just going to be handed to me. Like, this is a lot of work. This is going in the studio almost every day. I mean, these guys know I'm in the studio all the time. Like, I'm writing songs for myself. I write songs for other people. I just released a song with Danny Brown. I've released songs with Lupe Fiasco, Virgil Abloh, hip-hop giants. So for me, the work never stops. And even as far as I get, I'm still like, everyone's bigger than me. There's no point where I'm going to be like, all right, I'm bigger than everybody. Let me just stop what I'm doing.
Right,
I love music, bro.
Yeah.
I love art. It saved my life. It saved me from working jobs or just being on my farm all day. I would rather be able to provide for my people and provide art, and then go back home and celebrate. Let everyone in on the fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you touched on this a little bit, but it kind of mixes in with this. Is so from Guernsey County to Albuquerque, then to Nashville. At those first 2 stops, what was the point where you're like, okay, it's time? Like, it's time to do something else.
And in between those, I mean, Florida for 5 years was the training grounds, because hip-hop blew up in Florida 2014, 2015. You had the Little Pumps, the Smoke Perps, the Ski Masks, the guys that were Denzel Curry, guys that were super talented blowing up out of the region. And I was in the middle of it, but I was just an engineer, so I was just recording them. So I was able to kind of see, oh, this is what the guys at the top of the game, at their highest caliber, this is how they record, this is how they approach a session. They're going about it this way. So I kind of was able to sit back. I played every position on the team until I was the quarterback, until I was under the lights, you know what I mean? So I was able to see, like, oh, this is how these guys do it? Oh, okay. Oh, you need to be that confident? Oh, okay. Yeah. And so that rubbed off on me.
I think a lot of people mistake confidence for arrogance too.
100%. And especially from where we come from, it's like you're putting yourself out there and you're saying I'm the best, or like, look at me. That's definitely arrogance. But if you're doing something that's pushing a cause, or you're trying to help your community, or you're trying to uplift people, that should be something that is confidence instilling. That should gas you up, because you should feel like you are able to do something. I always like to tell people, go do that. And like, if you talk about it, that's cool, but go do it.
And it takes confidence to be on stage. I mean, you can't go up there and like, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to be ready for that. Like, you just got to go in and do it.
Especially in hip hop, it's
like, I've sung so many songs, but but I get like, like, you can't go do something for a crowd unsure of yourself.
Yeah, right. And that's the nature of the music industry. It's kind of a hyper masculine, overconfident arrogance in some way. But I'm almost delusional. You have to be crazy to think that you'll be successful in music, dude. Like, nobody makes it. So, to be in at least the percentage of people who are seeing a benefit in their lives from music, or seeing people respond to it, have listeners, that's really cool.
Yeah. And a little bit on Hometown again. Now you did something recently. You went to a girls' home, is that right? Yeah,
I went to the local girls' home, Desmond Stage, my day one A1 Good for Life.
That's how I knew you were in town.
She works there, and she
Snapchat
plays my music all the time there, so the girls all know my lyrics, and she always sent me videos of them singing and just dancing to the music videos. So I figured one day I would stop by and surprise them. They thought they were in trouble. They thought the owner was coming, so they were all sitting in there quiet, like kind of nervous. And then I walked in, and it was a raining of cries and laughter and jeers, and it was really beautiful, because I just want to go there and make people smile, man. If I can do that, then that's what I'll do.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, is like, sometimes you need to go do other things. You need to go to Nashville, you need to go to Florida, you need to go to Albuquerque. You need to go somewhere so you can come back and make it worthwhile to people.
For sure.
Because if you just stay here, some people are going to know you.
The greatest advice ever is leave your hometown, because you can always go back, but you can never have the opportunity of being young again and being stupid enough to go and chase your dream, or have enough courage to believe in the fact that, okay, there's more out there for me, there's more people I can meet, and expand your mind, because meeting other people is the only way I got here. Like, how do I know Yellow Wolf and Kasky? Because I met people along the way.
You have to get out there. You have to go out and do it.
Yep. We have heat. Thank God.
Well, it's weird. I don't think it works. I think it's just the fan. But yeah, if you didn't know, we just, since we moved, I literally messaged you this morning, and I was like, hey, let's do something. And I was like, are you in town? I didn't say. You said let's do something. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, well, I had the chairs in here, I had the desks, but I had nothing else set up. And I was like, that was something I was going to do into December. And this pushed me, so I'm here now. So we're good. This is what we needed, right? Because now we can do it every week.
Okay. Back, baby. Cheers.
We're back with a shot.
Good for life.
And a new shot, too, actually, the third camera.
Shout out to all the homies and my exes. Y'all messed up.
I didn't even take it all. I should have. That's hard.
Yep. That's terrible.
Wow. So actually, what's stupid, I went to G's and I'm like, I'm going to get a good bourbon, because this gym I go to, all these old dudes are always like, oh, bourbon's fucking, this is shit. I'm like, okay, I can try this. You know, like, I can talk to you guys one day. Yeah. No.
It's always the question with me.
$80 a bottle. It tastes like that. That's horrible. They're always
like, whiskey or bourbon? I'm like, both.
Yeah. I feel like maybe with something that might not be bad, but straight up, that's something. Now, actually, this sign right here, I made it in like 3 minutes, because I was like, I need a piece of wood. Everything's closed, because I had this made already. And so this piece of wood, you can kind of see, like, I had a piece of paper over it with writing on it, and it says filming in progress. That is actually, so
I see it now you said it.
A&E was filming something for Cops in my studio.
No way.
And so I was like, that's perfect. So like, I ripped the paper off, and that was under there, and I'm like, yeah, like, this is gonna work. So
shout out to Cops.
It's supposed to be
Love
like
Cops.
But they were interviewing like the State Patrol or something.
Yeah.
And they were like, State Patrol's like right down the road, and they're like, hey, like, we saw you're a production company. I'm like, yeah, I am. And they got there and they're like, this is barely big enough, but we'll make it work.
Make it work.
I'm like, thanks.
Hold my beer, watch this.
I never even got to like see, because it takes like a year and a half, and I think I forgot about it until I saw that, and I'm like, oh, like I should probably figure out where that's
cool.
at.
You make do. I'm a DIY guy. You know?
Yeah. And I was like, we need something today. So that's what we got. We don't even have all of our sound baffles up yet.
It's perfect.
But we're gonna go. Well, we can do whatever we want. But the
whatever
life
we want. There's no
advice
rules.
section. Yeah, it's off the rails. Wow. But we're gonna do some advice, right? I'm gonna ask you questions, and you can help up and comers. So in Guernsey County, or it doesn't matter, in any small town, what's some advice you have for somebody that wants to get into music in general, or into any really creative field?
In music, buy your own equipment. I mean, any creative field, buy your own equipment, do it yourself, do it at your house, do it with nothing, do it with no money. And if you can do it well enough with nothing, then once you start to require resources or meet people, then you'll be prepared. If you're a musician, learn how to record yourself. You know, that's the beauty of what I do, is I don't have to hire a studio. I don't pay for studio time. I record all of my music. I'm sitting down, or I'm pressing record and I'm running over to the mic to be able to record. But that's what it takes. It takes the know-withal to say, okay, I can record myself, then I can record others. So I can make money recording others. So then you can fund your own dream. And that was my hustle. It was, okay, well, if I learn how to record, then at least I can record other people. And that was the only goal. The mystery to me was, how do people get on tracks? Oh, you need a microphone. Oh, you need an interface. You need a laptop. So I started with a ThinkPad, those old, remember the red little rubber thing in the middle of the keyboard? That was your mouse.
You try to mouse with it?
Yeah, you kind of push that around. That was my first laptop. That. And then, we recorded in my garage. My guys all know that this started from the literal dust and turned into a tour.
And I feel like that's a big sign for someone just starting out, or you're on your journey, you're 2 years in, whatever it is. I think that's such a big sign for the success of somebody, is how much capacity they have to figure it out. Yeah. Because I've met a lot of people, and it's not a dig, but I've met a lot of people that will want money for everything, right? Especially starting out. They're like, hey, I did this, can I get this? I'm like, this is your first time doing it. Like, and I'm not over there like, hey, I pay them.
This is my best advice then. If you want to do something, do it for 10 years and don't get paid.
Yeah.
I did it for 10 years and didn't make a dime. The only time I made money was when it was actively like, hey, I have a studio. You guys want to come record? Yeah. Dude, I used to record people for food. So I used to record this guy who was a chef.
Oh,
and he couldn't pay me, but he could cook for me. Yeah. So he would bring a pre-made packaged meal to the studio. I would sit at the table. I would eat it, because that was the only thing I could eat that day. And then I would record him for 2 hours. If you're not willing to do it for trade and barter, if you're not willing to do it for nothing,
then you're not into it.
You're probably not that into it.
Yeah. And I've found that even to this day, there's still, and it's not, weddings, I make money. I make my money, whatever it is. But there's still things I do for free, and people don't think of it like, they're like, oh, he's doing this and that. I'm like, no, there's still things that if someone that has 1 year experience came and did, they'd be like, well, where you got money for me? I'm like, sorry, not me, but like works, they would ask whoever they're filming for money, and I'm like, that's not it. Like, you have to have a portfolio. At least you have to have a portfolio in any field, really. But if you're starting out, you need to try stuff. You need to learn it. You can't just expect to make money because I bought a camera. I'm ready. You have to try.
And I think, having worked so many 9-to-5s and hardworking jobs, like, dude, people are very critical of art and media and what we do. Oh, that's so easy, Then do it.
Right.
Because this is 10 years, 11 years of overnight success. So if you're not willing to do it for 10 years for nothing, then it might not be for you. I know people who blow up their first song. Super cool. But they're not here today. They don't have any longevity. They don't have a real career. And that's something I talk about with Yellow Wolf all the time. Is like, He's like, bro, you want to have longevity in the game, and that's what you are. You're in that 1% of people who can do it. So to be in that position, you think I was there 10 years ago when I was in this town trying to convince everybody that I'm a rapper? Like, that was not the MO. That was not the way to make it in this town or make money in this town.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make a dime. And so now that I go on tours and go around the country, it's like I still do it, roughing it. I'm in a van with, 10 guys who want to do this not for the money. They want to do it for the love, for the experience of playing the House of Blues in Cleveland and selling out, playing in Connecticut for people that you didn't even know would like this music. But
right.
It's a beautiful thing to see it all come together now. But if you don't stay down, then you're never going to feel that feeling.
And that's a good point, too, is there is something said about quick success, right? Mm-hmm. It's like...
It's dangerous.
People
talk about blowing up. And I said, well, you ever seen something blow up? You don't want to be in the middle of that. You know what I mean?
And I've had, like, in at least this area, locally, that is what I experienced with the COVID boom, right? I'm like, I went from nothing to everything, and then... boom, off a cliff. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like, this isn't, I don't want to stream games my whole life.
Right.
And I'm like, I want to film stuff. I want to do this. This is what I want to do. But, oh my, like, you're like, this feels great until it doesn't. And then you're just stuck doing that.
100%. You can make all the money in the world and be miserable. Mm-hmm. I know people who have millions and there goes the Spartans. Miserable. There goes the horses and carriage.
Oh, no, it's not.
See y'all. No, it's crucial that you find your passion, and if you can make money at it, that's beautiful. But if you don't make a dime and you could still find time to do your passion, then just do that, man. And
that means it's the passion.
You don't need to be important or even like famous in music. You just need to be somebody who is honest and creative and cares about it, You
have to, that's what it boils down to, is if you're willing to put in the time, if you have time, if you really want to be a musician, you might never make it. But if it's what you care about, you're going to keep doing it.
Right.
Like that's what, and that's in any field. That's not just music. That's not just, I've said that so many times. But if you care about what you're doing, it's not going to matter how many people are liking it, how much X or Y you're getting out of it, money, whatever it is. It's going to boil down to, do you really care about it? Is it your passion? And that's what a passion is.
And you may never even find out that people care about it until way later. You might be doing stuff now and you think nobody cares, nobody's looking. Dude, I promise you, somebody's looking. Like, even if it's one person, like, there's young people out there that look up to my music, which is weird because I don't know if I consider myself a role model or like I even should give advice to people, but I do because people ask and they're like, yo, you're here. How did you get there? Mm-hmm. Sometimes I tell them, dog, you don't want to know. You know what I mean? Like, this was a very long, hard journey of sleepless nights and starvation and blood and sweat and tears for real. Blood, sweat, tears. You're not willing to put that in, you're not going to get nowhere with it.
But that's also what people need to hear, too, is
for sure.
You'll have different stories. You'll have all kinds of different stories as far as like, well, I had $100,000 in my trust fund and I did this. And it's like, oh, cool. Like, there's success in that. I get it. But for most people, the thing that is going to resonate with them is a hardship, especially in Appalachia, especially in this, you're going to resonate with people more coming from nothing.
Right. And this town definitely seasoned me for that. It was like, dude, you're not going to get handed nothing. Mm-hmm. You got to work for it. You got to earn it. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it. Go do it. And I saw a lot of people around me give up on their dream, or fall into a system of going to jail, in and out, on drugs, on and off. I said, dude, I'm going to turn this thing on and I'm not going to flip the switch. This has got to be my plan A all the way. I'm going in.
Yeah.
And once I did, that was the turning point for me. When I believed more than anybody else, that's when it started working.
Mm-hmm. And even from your perspective to mine a little bit is I never had a job. This was my job. And for me, it's a little different because it's like, well, like, I've never had that 9 to 5 where I have to clock in, right? I've worked with some people here and there, like it's part-time stuff, but nothing full-time. And at that same time in my head, I was in college during this. So I took out my FAFSA loans. I've got $20,000 in debt still, because I only went a year and a half. But I still went to college, took on debt, and never really took it from, I didn't have a savings. I didn't have that growing up. I have help, but nothing monetary, right? Like I have a house if I need to go home.
It's good to have a support system.
Exactly.
Just anybody.
Yeah. And I don't want to discredit that and be like, I didn't have nothing. But
I came from nothing.
But I didn't have no one was like, here's 20 grand, here's 10 grand. Yeah. So my first camera I bought on a loan, and I was like, I got to make the money to pay for it, things like that. But at the same time, I was like, in my head, I'm like, you've got a year of college, because I didn't really want to be. I was like, you got a year, you got food because it's in your tuition, you've got a place to stay, it's in your tuition. Figure it out or get the degree. That's what you've got to do.
Figure it out, dude.
Yeah.
And I think those are pivotal moments in people's lives. All right, figure it out. And that's what defines you for your life.
And that's when I dropped out. I dropped out of college, never finished. And about a year
That's my advice. Drop out of college, kids.
I hate it. College sucks. Don't go to college.
Well, it's kind of a scam for some places, but we won't go into that.
Most of them. I mean, the cost... That's a whole nother podcast.
It's a whole podcast. Yeah.
But the whole point of it is, if you believe in yourself, like we've been talking, if you've got a passion, go do it, and then be uncomfortable doing it. Right? For me, I was like, okay, if I drop out and I go do this, I can't fail because I'm gonna work at some random job that I don't like.
It's gotta work.
It has to work.
Yeah.
And that's been my driving factor since then. Is I'm 6 years in. I bought a house. I've got
good for you, bro.
And that's hard to do.
Oh, that's hard.
Anyone 20 and 21, 20. It's to buy a house off just your
this ain't
business
1930,
income.
dude.
I mean,
it's expensive out here.
It's
you know what I mean? It's
expensive, and it's hard because as a business owner, you don't want to show your income. You have to pay $1 billion in taxes. It's awful. But to say that I've done that, that's where I'm like, okay, now you've got this, you've got more responsibility now. You can't just go to DTA every night and drink your brains out, because that's what I did. I was like, this is my mortgage. It's going to the liquor store. Yeah. And now I'm like, okay, relax, breathe. You've got things you got to pay for. And
but it's that place of, I'm uncomfortable. I have to make this work. There's so many moments in my career where it was like, is this gonna work? You're up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., you're laying in bed, you're staring at the ceiling, you're like, dude, I'm a rapper with a cowboy hat. Is this gonna work? And it did, because I didn't stray away from the vision. It's like, this is gonna work, and I don't have another option.
Well, and you're gonna have people tell you it ain't gonna work. It's not gonna happen. It's you're not that. You're not it. I
had people tell me all types of things along the way, and if I'd listened to them, then they would be right. But they're not right.
No, they're not.
And
oftentimes those are the. It's a mix of just random people, but then there are people in your field that are a little jealous. They're like, he's doing this, but it isn't gonna work. And that comes back to that longevity thing. It's I'm up and down. I've got my roller coaster here with video and photo, and some things don't work, some things do, but I'm still around. I'm still here. I've been here for 5 years, 6 years now, really. But that's the part. It's you can only do so much before it's okay, you're there, breathe. Yeah, you don't know where the money's coming from, but it's coming. You don't know who's going to call you in 3 days. And that's fun too. I mean, it's scary, but it's fun.
Man, it's going to sound like some hippie stuff, but manifestation, man. I believe in manifestation heavy. I believe in attracting what you want. So I started to speak out loud, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go on tour. And that's when the ball started rolling. Of course, moving my feet and using my hands to put the effort in, and really using my voice. But it was a matter of, I have people who support me enough to say, hey, we listen to you, keep going. No matter all the hate, that didn't matter to me, bro. There were plenty of moments in my life where I could have took it personal, and it was like, man, usually the person hating on me is in a miserable place, worse off than me. So that's something to take into account too. If you listen to the haters, you're just going to feel like them. Why wouldn't you want to feel like you or feel good?
Right. And you mentioned manifestation, and that reminds me, I saw you posted a picture with Breland. I don't know how much you guys talked. I say that like we talked, but
cool cat.
I partied at his house one time. in Nashville, or he has many houses. But that was something he
Homie's
taught.
balling for sure. Didn't he just got off the road with Shania Twain or something?
Yeah.
He was killing it.
And that was the one thing he brought up a lot was your energy. He's like, if you've got good energy, you're gonna find it. Like good energy finds good energy. If it's bad, you're not gonna get there.
If you're a negative Nancy or you're a worrywart, like it's not gonna work, bro. And especially like people who over obsess or hate on people or over analyze, like those are not the people who make it, dude. It's the people who are supportive. It's the people who are like, yeah, like I got work to do, you know, I'm gonna keep going, you know. Those are the people who are gonna get ahead because they know that, okay, I'm in this position now, but I want to be here and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. Speak that into existence and watch what that does for you. The power of words. I am not a person who is unaware of what words can do or how powerful they are. So use your words wisely. You know, speak carefully to yourself and be kind to yourself because, you know, I'm my biggest critic, man. I always say my haters can't hate me as much as I do, you know.
Oh, so absolutely.
I believe in
You're going to overanalyze yourself enough.
100%, bro. Like, you think I didn't go through this process doubting or beating myself up? Like, I need to be better. I need to do better. And then 11 years later, you know, it takes that work. I mean, imagine, would you want somebody to build your house who's been building houses for 20 years? Or, you know, get the guy who's done it for a year. He's going to do it cheaper. But your house is going to collapse. Or you're going to have rickety floors. You know, you want somebody you want to pay somebody for the work that they put long. It takes them. It's the work that they put in before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. That is deep. And for you, your words are your life. Like literally words.
It's my legacy.
Words, that is what you're putting in songs. Yeah. That's how you're making your money at this point is words. Like, and that's pretty cool. Like,
it's cool, man. And it's cool to see people sing them back to you.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool to see people feel something from it. I had a buddy of mine who was like, yo, last night was rough for me. I thought about taking my life, but I heard your album and it pulled me out of this place. And this was a couple of years ago, but that stuck with me. That's not something you take lightly, man. So when you feel that from other people or people feel your work like that, keep going, man. You know, don't give up on you.
And I feel like that's something that as you continue to grow is going to be interesting to like that feeling of like, wow, people I don't know, you know, it might not even be someone you've never met in your life. And they're like, you've changed my life. That's crazy.
And it's a privilege, but it's a responsibility. And so, you know, that keeps me grounded itself, bro. Like, oh yeah, I'm big, I'm hot shit. No, you're not, dude. You're literally just a guy, but you happen to have touched a chord with somebody. So I don't take it lightly when I do that, man. Or when I see somebody in the crowd, you know, 10 years old and they're like, sign my sign, you know, or that made my night, that made my kid's night, that you just took a picture with them or talked to them. That's a lot of responsibility. And I hold it really close to my heart to make people feel warm and welcome and be a human person to people. I see so many artists that just lose that sense of groundedness. And it's sad because, you know, that's what music is, man. It's supposed to bring you back down to earth and meet you where you are and heal. Yeah.
And that is like, even for me personally, that's where I was. I was I was like, no, I don't want to do this. You saw a little bit of it. I didn't edit your video.
I had to get somebody else to edit the How About a Drink video, but Caleb shot it and it's awesome.
Thanks. But that was where, at that point in my life, that's where I was. I was like, no, I'm on my schedule. This is what I want to do. And then slowly I got to the edge where I was like, man, like, I can't do this. Like, not to get, like, not in the weird, like, suicidal way. But
I was on the edge.
On the edge of this like, I didn't want to do video. I was like, this sucks. Like, I'm not doing my own thing anymore. All of this. And finally, it got to a point, and a lot of people probably noticed it. Britt noticed it because I stopped talking to her. Yeah. Completely.
Damn.
Right.
Cut off.
Literally. And I was just like, I can't do it. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to talk. Like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to, and I needed it. You know, like it was just like every day something. I'm like, but you ask for it. Sure. And that's what I didn't realize at that point.
Yeah. Oh, I had to have that moment with myself, dude. I'm on tour. I'm exhausted. I'm sick every day. My voice is gone. I have to perform for 2,500 people. I don't say a word that day, and I'm upset and this and that. And then somebody looked at me. It was my wifey. She said, you asked for this.
Yeah.
You put this on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go out there with any other feeling other than you did this and you earned this, bro. Go out there and do it. And I don't forget when people didn't care or when people didn't listen. So when you come from a place, had I blown up at like 17, I probably wouldn't appreciate all of this now.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? But it took that grind and consistency of like, all right, this is working, and now I get to reap the benefits of at least having people listen and care.
Yeah, and I think the contrast between. I don't want to like, I hate like comparing stories, but like yours was a slower build. Like you got there.
It was a slow burn.
Mine was slow, and I'm still doing it, but there was that moment of like, I did this really quick. Not in that, it was in the sports field. The weddings, it's a slow build. It's going pretty good, but the sports, I was just like, yeah, let's do it all. I want to do every school. Let's do it. Right. Same year, you go from 1, I did Meadowbrook's photos, to 5. I did 5 schools for, the 200 games. And I'm like, oh, man. Like, I was like, I'm a hot shit.
Well, suddenly you're the local guy.
Yeah.
And you're a hot commodity, and you're making money, but you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you deal with reaching the brink of that? I've been in that moment so many times, and that's, you still wake up and make a song the next day, and then, or you think, man, how am I going to make another one? How am I going to come back? You just keep going, man. Or you make the decision of, I need to do this a little different, or I need to see it different at least.
Right. And that's where I took that time off.
Good.
And I was like, I didn't tell people. I haven't posted on Instagram in 7 months. I used to post every 2 days.
If you want to take a break, you have no obligation to tell it.
Exactly. And I was just like, okay, like it's time. It's time to get back into it. You got some people stepping on your toes. It's time to get show them where you're at. And I was like, yeah, let's do this again. So we're starting the podcast back up. We're doing all this stuff. We're working with a few different schools now, but not overdoing it. And that's the key, I think, is staying humble in it. Like,
yeah,
it's fun. It's fun to go to DTA, and people are like, oh, fucking, that's Cowboy Killer. Look here, and whatever it is, and you're like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah,
but
I've been avoiding that a lot, actually. Because I know that there's temptation, and there's also this feeling of like, why am I doing this? Is this for the right reasons?
It's complacent. It's
complacency.
It's like, yeah, you can go to your local hometown bar, and people are gonna know you. Of course they are. Like,
yeah, let's take a pic. What's up? It's been so long, Paul. I'm like, dude, listen, this journey is really hard, and if I don't keep my focus, then I'm gonna go off the rails. Sometimes going off the rails is good, though.
Good
you know what I mean?
But exactly, I think that's what I ran into was, I was like, I was drinking every day, every single day. Like, go to DTA, get hammered. That was what I did, and it works for a little while. It's like it feels great, but you're not building anything.
Yeah, it numbs you for a little bit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
you're not getting anywhere. You're not adding to what you're trying to actually do. You're adding to yourself, and that's okay. But ultimately, if your goal is to have people, like you were talking about, with people you don't know relying on you, those people aren't going to be at DTA. Those people aren't going to be at your hometown bar.
No.
They're going to see the work you're putting in outside of that.
Yeah, they care
about,
and that's what
matters.
Are you putting out work? Are you consistently doing it? At the end of the day, like, what I do is a job, and I get paid to do it. But, the day that I become complacent, the day that I'm like, oh, I made it, I'm good, that's the day it's over for me, because that's as far as I will go. That will be the ceiling. I don't see myself getting to that point, because I think I've always been a person who's like, I have more work to do.
Yeah.
And if I keep that mindset, then I think I'll try to keep improving and try to keep getting better and meeting people.
That's all you can ask for is like, if your goal is to get better every day, and I see this with people around here, photographers, videographers, you'll see people that are come and go as far as like, oh, I'm here, I'm ready to do it. And then they realize no money, no ambition, no goals. And it's like, you can't do that. Like, you have to do things.
But to start a videographer beef out here in town.
Yeah, everybody sucks.
Caleb Graham. This is all videographers.
At the same time, that was where I was at, is I hated everybody. Like, not literally. People, I think, are intimidated because, not anymore, but back then, is like, I didn't want to talk to you. I'm like, not because I came from a place of hate. I didn't hate anyone that was doing what I was doing. It was, we're in competition. For me, I succeed when I think you're my enemy. not literally. Like, I'm not like out here like, man, fuck that guy. But in my head, I'm like, I got to win. I'm sorry. Like, and it's that balance of arrogance and confidence. I'm like, you do what you got to do, but I'm out here. I'm going to do it too.
Sometimes competition is healthy, and
yeah,
I'm in the hip hop business, so it's like, yeah, if you don't think you're the shit, then you're definitely not going anywhere. But yeah, that sense of like competition or hey, who's on my heels? You know what I mean? I got to keep going. I mean, it's good for you, man, to be able to see, all right, people are doing stuff out here. I need to keep working harder, you know?
Yeah. And
people always trying to take your spot, bro.
I see a lot of, especially in the last like year, not anymore as much, but there was a post going around on Facebook that was like, competition doesn't exist. We're all friends. I'm like, we can be friends, but we're still competing. Yeah. Like, and that's the part that I think gets lost on some people is like, yeah, like, I'm not going to be a dick to you. Like, 100%. I want you to succeed as well, but my drive is to win. Like, I want to win. Like,
my output on it is like, I actually say this a lot. I'm not in competition with anybody because I don't feel like people can do what I do. That is not from a place of like, oh, no, you can't do it. It's just you won't.
Yeah.
You won't.
You're not willing to.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, where I come from, it's like I was raised on a farm, raising cattle, horses, pigs, rabbits, sheep, pheasants. Like, there were animals that relied on me to get up and do what I had to do. So I just get up and do what I have to do. And also, me being the Cowboy killer, bro, like, I'm not really in competition with other rappers because these cats don't do what I do.
Right.
They don't know a banjo player. They don't play with a live band. So in other words, they're not really in competition with me. They're not really threatened by me. It's kind of easier for me to get along in that game. If anybody should have been threatened by me, it's somebody like Yellow Wolf, but he embraced me because he knows my heart is in a place of like, dude, I really wanted this, and I worked really hard at it. And I came from G County, the 740, where nobody had really made a name for themselves out of here. So I had no choice but to beat the odds. And when people see that, like, oh, this dude's going to do it regardless, they're not going to compete with you. They're actually going to jump in and be like, well, let me help you or learn from you.
They're on board. Yeah. Yep. So what's next? What do you got coming up?
Dude, dropping this album I just dropped yesterday called Devotion. I made this album in a span of really 2 weeks, but there's music on there from 6-7 years ago. So putting this out for me was a big step towards not only distancing myself from country rap, but letting people know where my roots really are, which was the soul and the Motown and the boom bap samples, real hip hop to its core. I really rap. You know, I dropped the album and Yellow Wolf called me and he was like, man, it's time. And people are going to see this. It's going to change things for you. This is a classic. He was mad that he wasn't on the album. And I felt like it was a risk because I'm making what I call trap grass, which is a combination of trap drums, banjo, folk, bluegrass. And that music was something that was getting traction. It got me on tour. It got me exposed to people who were like, yo, you should be on stage. But I took the risk to say, I'm going to go back to my roots and drop a hip-hop album to its core. Brought my whole team on it. Shout out to J. Dell, Kaylin Ellis, Brian Sauer, Crystal Rose, Sarah Monzo, everybody who helped on the project. And hopefully, you know, that just catapults it into the next place, you know. I drop a project and something always happens. So whatever happens from this project dropping, that'll be the next thing. But also, you know, I'm working on multiple albums right now, working with a lot of super talented people, and I'm hoping to keep hitting the road with Wolf. Maybe do an international tour. That's in the works. So I'm getting my passport this week, so we'll see what's going on with that, man.
Yeah, and that man, I got my passport a while ago, and I was actually supposed to film a music video in Belize.
No way.
In April of 2020.
How'd you land that?
And then COVID hit in March of 2020.
Who hit you up to film a music video?
Ryan did.
No way.
Yeah, he's like, we're going. I'm like, okay. And then boom, 1 month out. Sorry, nobody can travel. I was like, and we never got to get back on that. But that we did get closer from that. You know, we got to do all this stuff. But yeah, that was kind of the part where I was like, okay, like, you're doing a lot of stuff. Now it's time. And then go off an edge, and I'm like, hold on, breathe. You can do this. Restart. And
that's great advice. Breathe, y'all. Please breathe.
Yeah. Breathing, if you don't breathe,
is so vital. And it's so good because when you're in a position like COVID made me actually a bigger monster as far as like I'm gonna work. And it was funny because I got my first major placement with Lupe Fiasco during COVID. So COVID hits and I get my first major placement. So everyone's looking like, we're locked at home and you're dropping albums with Lupe. I'm like, yeah, it just happened to be that way. But the pandemic is kind of what pushed it over the edge. Like, oh shit, I'm here. Like I'm about to really jump in these waters of being on an album with somebody I grew up listening to or going on tour with Wolf. If COVID doesn't happen, I don't think I'm in a place where it's like, it's the Wild West, everybody for themselves, Cowboy Killer, you with me or not? And then people were like, I get it. So that was that breaking point too, you know? So COVID, yeah, I mean, we talked about it a lot, but it actually helped me a lot.
That's what propelled you then.
Helped me breathe too, you know, like, all right, take a breath, sit down, focus on your craft.
Yeah, not everything has to be 100 all the time.
1,000, yeah, you ain't got to make an appearance at this nightclub or go do this and that. Like, sit down and grind, bro.
Now you could just zoom into the nightclub.
Do your taxes, you know what I mean?
Hello, mute the stripper. But yeah, I absolutely. I mean, it was different, but yeah, it was crazy during COVID, and then it just kind of was like, okay, like bring it in, pull it in. So I guess like we've talked some about it, but go more in depth on what you got on your new album, Devotion.
So Devotion, the album is actually about the Marlboro Man. So the name Cowboy Killer comes from, a lot of people know from Marlboro Reds, but it's the 70s ads back in the day. They used to push to people, hey, you want to be a man? Be like this cowboy, smoke cigarettes and destroy yourself. That's what the symbol of masculinity was. And I think we live in a time where everyone's kind of questioning, it's a controversial topic of what makes a man, what makes a woman. And so the album is about what makes a man to me is love, loyalty, and devotion. So what does he love? What is he passionate about? What is a man loyal to, a man or woman? You know, for me, it was, what am I loyal to? You know, am I loyal to my people and my community, to the music? And then devotion. What are you devoted to? Are you devoted to getting up and going to work every day? Are you devoted to your family? Are you devoted to friends? Or are you devoted to things that don't serve you? And I think that's what makes a man to me, is what does he love? What is he loyal to? And what is he devoted to? And so the theme of the album is there's a lot of samples in there about the Marlboro Man and those old ads and them trying to push, you know, hey, cigarettes will make you a man. And that's where my name came from. My father died of lung cancer. So the idea that I was raised without a man in my life and becoming a man in my own skin with no exterior guidance, no role models other than LeBron James, you know, like I grew up in an environment where it was women who raised me, women who supported me, and I wanted to tell that story coming from a single mother home and becoming a man, and not only becoming a man, but ultimately I became the Marlboro Man, and that was the theme of the whole project, and everyone involved in it. I mean, there's probably 40 people on this album, 10 tracks, skits, interludes, my day ones on it. That's the theme that continues to revolve, is what makes a man, and I think that there's a lot more to it than just a tough exterior shell or not talking about what's going on in our lives. I used the whole album to reflect on it and where I was at, coming off of a tour that changed my career and the course of my career. So it was important for me to get that out and get it out honestly. Yeah,
no, that's good. Yeah. We'll put that at the beginning. That's like a good. That was really good.
I was thinking we could put at the beginning, like everyone's just like, I'm gonna walk out. I'll stage a walkout. We're like pissed at you. We'll be like, "Fuck this interview." That could be the start of it. They'll be like, "What happened?"
Whoa, that got deep.
That got deep.
Yeah.
Cowboy walked out.
What are we at? Like an hour ish? Yeah. And we'll definitely have a part 2.
This has been fire. It's been great.
But I like to keep them around an hour because we've done some that are 3 hours. We've done some that are 2. Nobody watches it for 3 hours. So. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, bro.
And thank you for watching if you made it this far. We're getting back into this, so we're going to do it a lot more. You get to be episode 1. I'm sure you'll get to be episode X later on.
It's an honor, man. Thank you for having me, bro.
And yeah, thank you for coming in. We've actually got some stuff we're going to shoot tomorrow. I don't know exactly what we're doing yet, but something. So be on the lookout for that. And thanks for watching. We're going to do this more. Britt's going to be here more probably, unless she leaves. Yep. Okay, so she's here. So we're good.
Britt's held hostage forever at OTR.
Yeah.
She's not going.
We will see you guys in episode 2 at some point. Probably
Follow me,
next week.
GFL Cowboy,
Yes.
Cowboy Killer, all platforms. Reach out, shoot
rusty.
me a message, man. I appreciate all the support out there. Love, good for life.
Is there any other stuff you want to plug? I usually ask people to plug, but it's been a
If
year
you're
and a
ever in
half.
Nashville, any local people in the 740, you come down to Nashville, I'd love to take care of you at the Berkey House. It's BURQUE House. Follow me, Cowboy Killer, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, everywhere, man. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all.
See you next week.